This guy was reborn with a rank that not even the gods can face. Today, I'm going to show you an isekai about a kid who gains an overwhelming power, reaching an inexplicable level. So sit up straight, because this anime is going to blow your mind. It's that impressive. The episode begins with the guy wondering where he was, and when he opens his eyes, he already sees his mother, who was dying to drop the kid and run. He's surprised to have been reborn in a kingdom of nobles, and soon the chubby king comes to take a good look at his son's face. The king says he would be called Noah, the 13th son of the king. Man, is this guy a king or what? A servant immediately casts a magic spell, revealing Noah's status. He was born with a water magic rank of SS, which is the most broken rank there is. 6 years later, Noah, being a prince, is already strong, but gets even stronger when he has subordinates working for him. And the maids won't stop fawning all over him, saying that even though he was a child, he was still better than the other princes. Cut to Noah eating a bread with egg and having coffee, but a maid interrupts, saying the crown prince had come from afar to speak with him. Arriving at the location, Albert and Henry were waiting for him. But Albert says he had a gift for him. A man enters through the door, nearly collapsing from the sheer weight of a coffin he was carrying, emanating a sinister aura. Albert tells him to test it. When he grabs it, he feels a powerful presence. Albert says that was the Leviathan, the strongest sword in the Empire. More than 120 people died just trying to wield it, but it seems Noah is the only one capable of wielding the Leviathan. The two princes leave, but Albert was testing to see if he would hold up. This leaves Noah furious. At night, his maid seemed upset, and he asked what was going on. She said a flood had destroyed her village, her mother lost her job, and her relatives told her to go work at a brothel to pay the bills. And then Noah says he would give a house and salary to her and her mother. He calls his servant and tells him to buy the lands of the maid's village. The servant says they don't have the funds. Noah tells him to sell a southern land given by the king. But the man says that selling it would be an affront to the emperor. And the prince accepts whatever punishment the emperor gives, because the duty of a noble is to help people, even if he has to give up his lands. The next day, Henry appears, asking where he was going. Noah says he was heading to a village that had been flooded. Henry is surprised Noah is bringing the Leviathan sword. Noah says he'd bring it to test its power. He asked why Henry was there. Henry said Albert had said something strange, so he came to check. And he says the sword has a will of its own and only obeys whoever it recognizes as its master, and using it wrong would destroy you. Arriving at the village, the place was devastated. He tells the servant to go to the government and buy the lands as fast as possible, and has the maid show him around while they disguise themselves to avoid attention. But when they arrive at a spot, there are people handing out communal soup, but the food was absolute garbage. A man approaches. He was in charge of supplies, and it was his fault the inhabitants were eating spoiled food, because the good stuff was at his mansion. Noah goes to confront him, but when the guy turns around, he starts laughing at seeing a kid. This infuriates Noah, who said it was a crime to divert supplies from disaster victims. He declares the death sentence on the man, and at that moment the sword flies into Noah's hand. He commands it to obey and strikes a blow that decapitates the man, leaving everyone terrified. Soldiers begin appearing, ordering Noah's arrest. And Leviathan starts moving on its own, striking the ground and creating a deep crater. The landowner shows up and upon seeing Noah, runs over and bows. He didn't know the prince was there. He said he had been ordered by Henry to maintain order in that region. Noah orders the accomplices to be punished, and the good food distributed to the flood victims. Cut to Noah before the king. The king notes that he sold the land given to Noah to buy a village. The kid was just waiting for punishment, but is surprised when the king congratulates him for saving a village and mastering the magic sword. He orders the servant to check his status, and the kid isn't average anymore. He mastered the sword and gained another S on his status. The next day, Noah hears about a singer and gets interested. The show begins, but some loan sharks show up demanding payment from the girl singing, who had inherited her father's debt. From the audience, Noah shouts that they shouldn't collect someone else's debt. The guy grabs Noah, who summons his epic sword, leaving the loan sharks knocked to the ground, running away in fear. He says if they come back to send them to his mansion. He asks the singing girl how much she earned. She says she has to pay for her mother's medical treatment. And Noah, being rich, says he'd pay her a monthly sum just for her to sing. Heading home, Noah spots the loan sharks still there. He sends the maid to dismiss them, but it was actually Henry, who tells the boy not to accept lowlifes around him to avoid tarnishing the Empire's name. He invites him inside and tells Henry the singer girl story. Henry said he heard Noah had mastered the Leviathan sword and asks to see it. Noah shows him, leaving his brother impressed. Outside, the loan sharks are still there. One of them gets angry and calls him a snobbish brat. But Noah activates his hockey, knocking the man unconscious.
This power was taught to him by the sword itself. That night, Noah goes to a party. A noble accompanies him and asks what was at his waist. It was the sword given by the crown prince, leaving everyone surprised. In the middle of the crowd, someone says it's just a toy sword, but apparently he said it a bit too loudly. Hearing that, Leviathan releases a crushing presence, driving everyone crazy. But Noah commands the sword to stop. Everyone is frightened by the sword's power, but he is praised for being capable of controlling it. At the party, Noah is being introduced to the nobles when a man comes to introduce himself. His name is Byron, and his daughter is Cindy. He manages a merchant company. Noah quickly notices something and asks if his daughter is adopted. Byron asks how he found out. He is a very noble man and his daughter is a former slave who doesn't know noble customs. Byron gets nervous and admits it's true, but says he teaches her many things. Noah says he likes him and would invite him to his home.
The next day, the prince walks the streets when he's stopped by his brother Oscar, who asks what he's doing there and invites him to look for treasures in a marketplace where rare finds can be discovered. They searched through many things but found nothing, until Noah finds a book. His brother says it's a very rare book and asks how he knew, but he didn't. He simply bought it because his wind magic level went up. But Leviathan starts vibrating, and the book suddenly unleashes a wild magic, opening to a page showing a magic circle that darkens the sky. It's the spirit of a mage. But that's no problem. Noah raises his sword, and with just one strike, eliminates the being. Before they can relax, a man appears, a vendor, who says he has an antique shop. In the shop, he shows a ring that was something strange. He says he had tried countless times to get rid of it, but it always returned to his hands. Oscar tells Noah to try it on, and the moment he puts it on, something begins to emerge, transforming into an incredibly badass armor. Noah tells the man he'd keep it. On the way back, Noah runs into the loan shark from before, who attacks him. But before he can, a shield appears. Oscar is surprised and asks how he did that. Noah says it was one of the ring's techniques. That night at the singing house, Noah seems to have taken a liking to the singing girl. Some men climb onto the stage and start harassing her. Noah appears between them and brings out Leviathan, sending them running. He tells the establishment owner not to let people like that in, but they're the ones keeping the place running financially. And Noah, in one of his less wise moments, decides to buy the place. The girl says he's done so much for her that she wants to give something back, but he says all she needs to do is sing. A week passes and one of Noah's servants comes to say the general governor came to report a finance problem. The finance minister was withholding funds. Noah gets up and goes to the minister to sort him out. The man claims it's not what it looks like. He says the emperor exempted them from taxes, but there are actually no taxes to collect. The man starts talking about building a resort for the emperor. Noah cuts him off, saying he's not releasing the flood control money because he's building a vacation home, not buying it. The fat man falls to the floor begging for forgiveness. Noah says to release the money, or he'd tell the emperor. He went straight to Daddy, who summoned him for a talk. When he arrived, the king congratulates him for standing up to the fat minister. Noah wonders how he already knew. The king says he called in a skilled swordsman to train Noah. The swordsman says he wants to test Noah's knowledge and tells him to attack however he wants. Noah runs at him and strikes, but what the swordsman didn't expect was Noah's haki. He launches an attack that disarms the empire's best swordsman. The king bursts out laughing and says Noah would be responsible for conducting the knight selection of the year. Noah's eyes light up. The duty of a knight is to serve the prince, and if that happens, Noah would get even stronger. The king asked how he would select the candidates. Noah tells him to relax and just watch. Over afternoon tea, Noah asked his maid if there were any candidates from her village. She says there were, but it cost too much money to travel to the capital. He says in his friendly way to have the servant buy all the vacant houses in the empire. For food, he tells the maid to speak with the merchants, then goes to the city to meet Byron, who hands him the cost breakdown for feeding the selection participants. Noah says that's too little and asks why, but the man says he's the prince, and that's not the only reason. At the knight selection, there's also a servant position for the palace, and he wanted to place a woman inside to gather information. But to place a woman inside, Noah says the woman has to please his eyes. Byron says he wants to become a subordinate of the prince. This makes Noah happy. More subordinates make him stronger. And apparently his generosity doesn't extend to servants, as the girl is left standing outside in the rain. But suddenly, one S disappears from his status. He rushes to the palace to speak with the king. When he arrived, the emperor didn't even know yet, when a servant enters and says a rebellion has broken out in Almeria. The king asked what he would do. Noah says he can't do much, and recommends sending one of his brothers who knows the battlefield better. He recommends Henry. In the carriage, Noah feels a pressure released by Leviathan, and orders the carriage to stop. He unleashes his power. Rebels from Almeria appear and start attacking Noah, who slices through them like paper. He says he didn't kill them, just put everyone to sleep. Back at the mansion, he orders Byron to buy up all the horse feed in the empire, anticipating a possible advance by his brother's soldiers. Cut to the emperor saying it would have been very difficult if Noah had been captured. He says Noah made a good choice by alling all the horse feed.
As a reward for this achievement, he would add a sword to the coat of arms of Noah's house. Leaving the king's mansion, Noah meets Byron, who tells him about the enemy leader. But his maid arrives and says there's a badly beaten man at the gate. When they get there, the man reports on the ongoing rebellion. A bit late for that info, but Noah still orders a reward for him. In his study, his maid returns and says she has something to tell him. She confesses that some men had told her to poison her prince. He asks why she came to tell him. She says she is loyal and faithful to her prince. He gives her a check for 5 coins and tells her to hide. He would drink the poison, and she was to hand him over to the rebels. When he collapses, he wakes up sometime later, tied up. He cuts the ropes with his ring's power, stands up, and the rebel leader thinks the boy is just a weak little brat. But everything changes when Noah splits the man in half. The others see this and charge at him, all cannon fodder, and in these moments it seems nobody knows how to use a sword. Noah hears a battalion arriving, with them the maid, who says she had been worried. He tells the squad captain to take the soldiers away. But they leave behind a sword, and Noah quickly realized it was cursed. He commands Leviathan to show why it's powerful. A purple mana gathers and shoots into the sky, heading toward the rebel leader, sending him to the afterlife. The king congratulates him for this. But what he didn't expect was the king ordering the rebel leader's family to be disposed of in a horrible way. And since Noah follows the law, he says that wasn't necessary. They could follow the law, and if the emperor breaks the law, it's going to backfire on him. The fat king thanks him, and says he would reward him with a title, Imperial Sage. Noah then demonstrates how his knight selection will work. He sits in a chair and has servants throw water at him, while the ring creates a shield stopping the water or any attack from getting through. This leaves the king astonished. The selection day begins at the capital of Milis, where Noah shows how powerful he is. A candidate appears, and just as he's about to attack, the ring begins glowing and a shield appears, which breaks the candidate's sword. Everyone is astonished by the shield's strength. The day goes on and none of the challengers even manage to scratch him. A mediocre maid shows up and sends a fire attack. Not even that works. Noah loves farming an aura. Then it would all end with a female warrior who appears, with a clear protagonist's face. She positions her sword in front of her body, and then goes at Noah with everything. He raises the shield, but the girl's force is overwhelming, piercing through the shield and hitting Noah. The guards go at her to arrest her, but Noah tells them to let her go, and says she's approved. In the prince's chambers, the knight apologizes for having attacked him. He tells her to do that same attack again. She does, and this time the ring summons the shield, and her sword doesn't even graze Noah. He says if he wanted to, he could fully block the attack. This boy is a true aura master. The doctor enters to treat Noah's wound. Shirley, the knight, says there aren't no doctors in her village. Noah thinks it over, and sends her to bring children from her village to be trained at the palace as doctors and more. The next day, cut to Shirley getting dressed, and when she sees the maids fawning over Noah, she wonders who he'd end up marrying. The conversation turns to the maid, with everyone saying she could be his wife, and she leaves all flustered. That night, a party for the prince. A letter arrives that doesn't say much on the surface, but Noah recognizes it's from the man who had brought information about the rebellion. As expected, remnants of the rebels still existed, and the soldier could be arrested for having passed information. As expected, it happened. He was caught, but Henry saved him, though he was still unconscious. Noah orders them not to let the man die. Walking the streets, Shirley asks what he's going to buy. Noah says he's looking for a gift for his brother Henry as a thank you. At the shop, the owner shows all the jewels and precious items, but one of them was different, a glass goddess statue. And since Noah is a fan of this sort of thing, he buys the statue. Then his brother Oscar walks in, but upon seeing the statue, says he has 2 of them and one is his. Seeing this, Noah smashes the statue on the floor, just so the value of the other statue increases. Shirley is shocked that he broke a valuable treasure, but he says those who serve him and are useful are his true treasures, and the knight is completely swooned. 6 years pass, and we see how the great Noah has grown. He was having his coffee when a maid interrupts, saying that gifts for the prince, even after several days, keep arriving non-stop. He gets annoyed because there was no cold cuts in his breakfast, and leaves. He heads to the Minister of War, his brother Henry, who asks his opinion on putting the heat on the rebels. The fat man there volunteers to lead. Noah asks how many soldiers he has, and the fat man starts sweating. Henry gets angry, but Noah calms things down by saying that even with few soldiers, it wasn't bad. It would put pressure on the rebels. He tells him to hand a document to the finance minister to put more people into the fight. As the 2 princes are leaving, some children run out of an alley with men chasing them. They said they were slaves. Seeing this, Noah goes to confront the situation. The men aren't interested in answering, and go to attack him, but look who they're messing with. He invokes Leviathan and puts the men to sleep permanently. Noah goes to comfort the children, but suddenly a man comes out of the alley and tells the boy to drop it, because Gilberto is behind him. But that was a threat. And before the old man could do anything, Noah activates his hockey and knocks him out cold. He orders the old man taken to Gilberto's mansion, and the children brought to his mansion, where he would take care of them. Later that day, the servant comes to say the prince interrogated the old man, but he took his own life. But they know the truth. Gilberto owns some casinos and lands, but since he's the son of a prostitute, he can't claim the throne, which is why he's always operated in the underworld. The children receive an offer to work for him, but they would no longer be slaves. They could leave if they wanted. They chose to work for him. but he does not forgive betrayal. The next day, Noah summons one of his maids and says his land needs a governor, and gives her that position. She's surprised, saying she wanted to serve him, but now she would be governor of his lands. The king calls the prince and comments on the assassination attempt and Gilberto's story. He says if he were him disguised on the street, he'd get beaten up, but he could give a death sentence for harming the king. Except that's not in the law, and Noah says if that happened, it would be assault and battery, prison, not death. Everyone stares at him for correcting the king. He gets pensive for having said that to the king, and out of nowhere the king bursts out laughing and says he had bet his servant that Noah would correct him. And since he loves following the laws, the king gives him another title, Minister of Justice. This guy never stops getting titles and congratulations. At the end of the day, he drowns his sorrows listening to the singing girl. And at the palace, the king says they have no time and they need to act fast. And that's where the episode ends. Man, what a good anime. On top of being an Isekai, it has Noah who beats everyone. This guy is practically about to take the king's throne. So go ahead and subscribe and leave a like to receive a little maid wrapped in bubble wrap. And there's a Jujutsu Kaisen video appearing here, so go watch it too.